North Idaho College proudly presents NIC Today, an informational news magazine that highlights the people, programs, and campus life at North Idaho College and the surrounding community. And now, your host and moderator, President of North Idaho College, Dr. Joe Dunlap.
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to NIC Today. This is the program that features the people and the programs at North Idaho College. And today with us, we have a couple very special guests. We have Alex Harris with us, who is our Director of Student Development. Alex, welcome to the program. And we have Gus Wessel, who is our School Resource Officer. And Gus is new to the institution, and so Gus, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And then, as always, I have Mark Browning, our Vice President for Governmental Affairs and Marketing. So Mark, glad you're here today.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, the focus of this segment of the show is on security, campus security in particular, and that is one of Alex Harris's responsibilities. And then with our new School Resource Officer who augments those security efforts. And so, Gus, let's start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You obviously have a previous connection to NIC, so let's talk about your background and your first few months on the job here.
Absolutely. I grew up in Coeur d'Alene. I went to Lake City High School, followed up my first couple years of college were here at NIC, where I took the law enforcement program with Tad Leach. So from then I transitioned and transferred over to Lewis Clark State College, got my bachelor's degree in justice studies, and during that time I worked as a reserve officer for the City of Coeur d'Alene Police, and then after getting my bachelor's degree I took a full-time position with them. So total I've been with the department for almost 10 years now, and in the last few months I took a position obviously as the school resource officer here at NIC, and it's been just eye-opening. Being down here on campus every day, seeing the resources that are available to students and the ability for us to help and interact with the kids has been great. In my past, I've worked mostly night shifts and I see a different demographic. Being able to work during the day with people that aren't necessarily seeing me in the same light has been refreshing.
And Alex, you're responsible for overall campus safety. Can you talk a little bit about your efforts over the last year or two, and then how Gus is being integrated into our security plans?
Sure. Starting about 2 years ago, we started to look at ways we could change the environment on campus, safety and security-wise. And that's first when we approached Coeur d'Alene Police about possibly having a school resource officer like our K-12 partners do. And so we started those discussions wondering how it worked. Didn't know that if any other colleges were doing it, but started to talk about that. And a few things happened on campus. We started to work more closely with Coeur d'Alene PD when we had situations on campus or they had needs from us. We started doing more trainings together. We participated in tabletop exercise, and through all that, we saw how a closer connection, a daily connection with a law enforcement officer could help us. Luckily, over the summer, that those hopes came to fruition. We were able to get approval for a position and get a contract with Coeur d'Alene Police Department to have a school resource officer. We had representation on the hiring committee, and luckily enough, we were able to have Gus join us. And that just started at the end of August, and we've already seen the fruits of that come to fruition. It's been a great help to have all the resources that a police officer has right at our fingertips, and being able to not just deal with negative situations, but also intervene in situations where we're helping students, whether it's suicidal issues or issues that they have at home, or different things like that. It's really been a good relationship.
Gus, you mentioned in your opening statement that you've been surprised and it's been an eye-opening experience. How so? What kinds of experiences have you had already in a few months here on campus that are opening your eyes?
Well, as a student, I didn't realize how many resources were available and if the food pantry that's going on down in the basement of the sub. And as far as the counseling, working with the counseling center over, Tim over there has been very helpful, and interacting with him and seeing how many people are actually able to contact them and work with them to kind of help through their learning process. You know, the daycare center is another one. We're actually going to have a meet and greet with the kids here this week, and all these little parts of the school that I never noticed before as a student, because I was head down in the books and back and forth to work. I'm realizing more and more that NIC is just a big community, more than just an institution or just one school.
You know, Alex, I think one of the things that I hear a lot in the community is folks, and you alluded to it, folks say, well, you know, as a result of what the legislature did last year, you've had to bring in the school resource officer, and you try to explain to folks, as you mentioned, this has been a process that has gone back a couple of years. And we've had incidents before of students who have brought a weapon to school inadvertently or purposefully. How does having Gus now on campus help act as a deterrent in your estimation?
So in the last few years, we did. What really spurred this conversation is we had an incident happen, or the threat of an incident happen on campus, where we saw a large law enforcement presence. It was actually during that first day, the first conversation. I think President Dunlap had been here 2 weeks, and our other vice president had been here for 2 or 3 weeks, and we had a conversation in the parking lot when it was going on, saying, how can we have a closer relationship? And I think the term SRO came up that day. So when 1254 came around, we just got more support from the community to take some action to make us feel safer. The perception of safety has definitely changed through faculty, staff, and students by having a law enforcement officer on campus. And being able to work with our security, which we still have, to make it a safer place, to contact our faculty, staff, and students that have concerns. It really, to me, and the feedback we've gotten so far, is that it's changed the perception of safety for the better here on campus.
Gus, prior to joining us, you had attended some special training, and I'm sure there's been quite a bit of other training you've had during the course of your career with the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. Can you talk about some of that specialized training and what that does in terms of your skills and abilities that you bring to the table for us?
Certainly. So like I said, I've covered a lot of different areas in my career. I spent a lot of time training on DUI enforcement, drug enforcement type situations. I'm almost certified, coming up here next month to be certified as a drug recognition expert, which means I can do a clinical evaluation on someone and determine what classification of drugs they're under the influence of. In a college setting, obviously that's great. The benefit is not only necessarily the punishment criminal side of it, but we've also had situations where, you know, a student may take too many of their medication or be showing some signs and symptoms that aren't normal for that person, and we can determine if there's a medical issue, a drug-related issue, or some other things. Additionally, I've been a training officer for a few years, and as such, I've worked very closely with tactical considerations for how to move in and out of buildings, schools, things of this nature. Just recently also went to an active shooter class put on by some federal grant money. So I actively try to take all the training I can to benefit the school and myself.
We get such a diverse student population here, and I think it's one of the things that really makes NIC really special, because we get all the way from high school dual credit students to students with maybe a little more gray hair. But everybody brings a unique set of challenges when they come to campus. How do you monitor that? Is it a situation where you're hearing things as you're walking around campus? Is it stuff that you pick up in social media? How do you keep your finger on the pulse of what's going through the minds of the students?
Well, I try to cover multiple bases on that. Trying to walk around is one. Just the difference between the first couple of days of me walking through the sub and now has been huge. I mean, at first people were trying to see where the problem was.
Yeah.
And since then, I think people are calmed down a little to that. Social media certainly is something we kind of watch. There's more on there than you'd believe.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've done personally is anytime that I have any contact with either a student on or off campus, someone who lives in the Fort Grounds area, or someone who may be a student in the future, is try to give them my business card, invite them to come to my office and meet me, visit with me, things of that nature. I've worked with the ambassadors who bring prospective students and walk them around and tour the campus. I've spoken with them and to their groups and tried to explain not only my role as a police officer here, but the experience and as being a student and transfer student to Lewis and Clark, things of that nature. So I try to get in touch with everyone I can in any way possible.
Well, Gus, I want to welcome you again to North Idaho College, and we sure appreciate you being here today. And most importantly, thank you for what you do with regard to providing a more safe and secure environment for our students. And Alex, in your other role, you also work with students to provide leadership opportunities and training for them. And so thank you for what you do for our students as well.
One of the features that we always maintain here on the President's Television Show is that we get a chance to see a story from students that about issues that are going on in the area. And this one for this edition is special in particular. It is the Panhandle Autism Society. It's a project that's done by Jamie Jensen, George Pons, and Ernie Bauer about autism, and especially here in North Idaho. Take a look.
The Panhandle Autism Society is a nonprofit organization that serves the 5 northern counties of North Idaho.
Our mission at the Panhandle Autism Society is to support, educate, and advocate for those diagnosed on the autism spectrum.
Autism is a pervasive developmental disorder that usually shows itself in 3 different areas that include social deficits, behavioral repetition, and communication skills.
The Panhandle Autism Society has support groups. We have a group for young adults, we have a group for teens, we have a group for adults with Asperger's, and we have a support group for moms and dads of children with autism. We also have a lending library that we provide to the community for people to borrow books on autism or videos. We also offer specialized equipment for people with autism that people can borrow and see if that's going to work for their family or for themselves. Every year we ask the community to come together and help us celebrate autism by joining us in our Walk for Autism Awareness. It's a special day where we get to celebrate those who live every day with autism.
It's also a day for families to feel safe and go somewhere where they're not being judged.
Who cares what those bullies think? Because in the end, it all comes down to your actions to make the world a better place.
The Walk for Autism Awareness is a great opportunity for community members, businesses, and individuals to come out and have a wonderful day, but also to consider supporting us financially so that we can do all those great things. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, welcome back. And with me now are our constituent leaders that is made up of students as well as employees at North Idaho College. And these individuals represent different groups on campus as part of our shared governance model. And so I'd like to introduce them to you today. First of all is Richard Fortman, who is our president of our student organization. Richard, welcome today.
Thanks, Joe.
Carol Jones is our staff assembly chair, and she represents all the staff employees on campus. And Carol, welcome.
Thank you.
We have Erin Davis with us today, and Erin is our faculty assembly chair, and she represents the interests of faculty on campus. And then Chantel Black is with us today, and she is our college senate chair. And the Senate is made up of representatives of both the assembly, or excuse me, the faculty assembly and the staff assembly, and they're the ones who review and make recommendations with regard to policy on campus. So let's talk a little bit about your individual responsibilities, and I'm going to start with Richard, and we'll just go around and have you describe what you do for your constituents on campus. So Richard?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Well, the main focus of the student organization that I'm a part of is that we're just the voice of the students. That's our #1 priority, is to be the voice of the students. And we do that in serving on committees throughout the campus and being the representation there. And then also we serve on the college, multiple college committees. So it's very lovely, yeah.
And you're involved in a number of different projects. I know right now you're working with students to develop a proposal for a student rec center on campus.
Yeah, well, we actually are doing a multitude of projects. Each senator actually has the opportunity to do a project that they feel will best represent the needs of the students. Some of those projects include the Student Recreation Center. That's actually something that we're doing as a group, as a whole, and we're going to give a presentation to the Board of Trustees in January, where they will go ahead and tell us to go ahead with it, which is exciting. That's my hopes anyways. In addition to that, we will also be doing some other things like increased student participation during athletic events. That's also a project of our senators. Increased communication with outreach centers, so that way we could best represent the needs of those students. A drug and alcohol awareness week during the month of April, so that'll be exciting. Hopefully we can work with Gus on that. A giving of thanks dinner to be held prior to Thanksgiving, so that'll be something that we'll be doing. And that will be done by Joshua Brand's little brother, Jeremiah Brand. So he was our vice president last year, so we're excited to have him on board. And then continuing work of transparency of student fees and how that's communicated to the students. So,
well, that's quite a bit. You've got your plate full.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Carol, tell us a little bit about you and your responsibilities.
Well, as staff assembly chair, we get together monthly for meetings. Our goal is to keep staff informed of what's going on campus and to increase our involvement in the campus community. We serve on committees, appoint those members on those committees, and our big fall project that we look forward to is we do a food drive to support St. ASNIC, and that's something that just we bring the whole campus together for that, and really it turns out very well. We usually end up getting 30 or 40 baskets, and I have to mention that Jan Peterson is the magician behind putting those baskets together, so that's what we're looking forward to for the next couple months, is getting that rolling out.
Well, thank you, Carol. And Erin, as the faculty assembly chair, tell us a little bit about your responsibilities, and also what do you teach here at North Idaho College?
Well, I'm an English teacher, so I teach composition and literature classes, and that's definitely the best part of my job, is getting to work with our students every day, because we have such a great student body here. As faculty assembly chair, so I chair faculty assembly meetings every month, and the goal of those meetings is to keep faculty informed and also to provide a forum for faculty to discuss issues of concern to them. We're in the process of providing feedback to the administration, as you know, on the different policies that are undergoing revision. So for example, last month, Dr. Lita Burns, our Vice President of Instruction, came and talked to us about the teaching focus policy, and she's given us the opportunity to provide her feedback on that. And I guess the best part of my job as faculty assembly chair is the opportunity to represent faculty to administration and the Board of Trustees, because I have a great group of colleagues, and so it's my pleasure to be able to represent them every month.
Well, and that's a good point. Each month at our board meetings, the constituents report out on their activities with their constituents to the board, and let the board know what's happening on campus, what the policies are that are being reviewed, and what initiatives they're undertaking. And then Chantel, you are our College Senate Chair, which is a little different than the Assembly. So tell us a little bit about what the College Senate does.
Sure. So as you already mentioned, the Senate is made up of faculty and staff and also students. And as a group, we review policy and procedure changes or new requests, and then approve those and review those to then go on to the Board of Trustees for final approval. We also look at committee requests to be standing committees and again review and approve those to then go on to the Board of Trustees as well. So we do try to, each individual on Senate is a representative of their constituent group, so we try to represent those constituent groups and how they would feel about those policies and procedures, suggest revisions, things like that.
And Chantel, on campus, where do you work?
I am the assistant registrar.
Okay.
Yep.
And Carol, I didn't ask you that question, but where do you work on campus?
I'm the assistant to the Vice President for Finance, Chris Martin.
Okay, and so we've got representation across the campus, and shared governance is a concept unique to higher education, and it's an important concept because it involves all aspects of the campus, and we solicit input from those constituents in our decision-making processes. And so it's important that we have a vehicle that allows all voices to be heard on campus. And so, Erin, tell me a little bit about why faculty feel it's important to be part of the shared governance model.
Well, I think one of the great things about NIC is we really view ourselves as a community. And so faculty feel it's important to interact not just with each other, although that's important to talk about concerns unique to faculty, but also to interact with students and staff because we all have a shared mission, and that shared mission is providing the best education we can to students. And so I think faculty really appreciate the opportunity to interact with staff, whether it's on Senate or in other forums, serving on committees with staff and students. And I think that that's one of the things that makes NIC a great school.
Richard, let me jump back to you. Tell me a little bit about what your goals are when you graduate from NIC.
Oh, well, I have aspirations of becoming a petroleum engineer. Some of the schools that I've been looking at are Colorado School of Mines and Montana Tech. So I actually just got conditionally accepted to Montana Tech.
Hey, well, congratulations on that.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. And then past that, hopefully be a part of my community and give back regionally to the community that's given me so much. So I look forward to working with NIC in addition to being a student outside of being a student. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Carol, how long have you been at North Idaho College?
Almost 14 years now.
14 years?
Yes.
All right. And Chantel, how about yourself?
I am actually working on my 10th year.
10th year. Mm-hmm. And Erin?
This is my 7th year here.
7th year. And just to get some impressions from all of you on the direction of NIC in terms of the goals for your areas and your responsibilities, tell me a little bit about where you think you're going with your constituents. Chantel, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll jump in there.
Okay.
So for us, it's pretty easy. We're kind of leaning on President's Cabinet to guide us. So we're continuing to review through President's Cabinet initially all of the policies and procedures on campus. So we are expecting to continue to see more policies and procedures this year as part of that full review of all of our policies and procedures.
And that's a very important project because our policies, some of them have not been reviewed or updated for over a decade. And so it's a very ambitious project to review all of our policies, and it'll be about a 2-year, maybe a 2.5-year project to do that. So Erin, what do you see happening with faculty on campus?
Well, so Faculty Assembly is in the process of advising President's Cabinet and our faculty senators, giving them feedback on the different proposed revisions to policy that are making their way through. We're also, faculty is very involved right now in the process of looking at the general education core and kind of examining the courses that are transferable throughout the state of Idaho. And so, for example, Larry Briggs, the Dean of General Studies, will be coming and talking to Faculty Assembly about that in November, and so I'm anticipating a good conversation.
And that relates directly to the Common Core initiative, doesn't it, here in the state?
I think that the idea is that there is a common core of general ed courses that transfer smoothly between all the colleges. And so, yeah, I think in that way it does relate to the common core here in the state. But it's an internal process of looking at what we value as our general ed core. And so faculty is very interested in that. Right now.
Excellent project. And Carol, what about yourself?
Well, with staff assembly, we also really appreciate the opportunity to participate in the shared governance and review the policies and procedures. And we really, our goal is to increase our information about the campus and our opportunities to participate in the college community. And when we invite our guest speakers, many times they are sharing with the staff what opportunities are out there to give of themselves and participate and share in the community.
Well, listen, I want to thank all of you very much for being here today and doing what you do in representing your constituents, because this college would not be as great as it is without your input and your advice and representing those constituent groups. So thank you again for all that you do. We're just about out of time, and I'd like to thank the viewers for joining us today and learning a little bit more about North Idaho College, meeting some of the people who make it happen, and learning about the programs that they represent.